Hey, Dr. Wassell here. Are you curious about the science of well-being? Thanks for joining me today. Years ago, in 2015, I was a researcher, and my research focused on the science of well-being. I published a paper called The Multidisciplinary Framework for Measuring and Improving Wellbeing with the one and only Professor Rachel Dodge. It was wonderful. It was great to publish that paper, but I think now more than ever, it's critical that people have a solid understanding of what well-being is. So despite this paper being published back in 2015, now in 2024, there is still so much of a need for people to understand more about well-being and how it works. So today I'm going to talk with you a little bit about this paper and some of the points that I made in this paper and why it's important to you. So stick around. Great. The first thing I want to talk about is that well-being has so many dimensions to it, right? It can be in all sorts of different arenas of our life. In our paper, we talked about how the growth of research on well-being has happened in so many fields, including positive psychology, philosophy of focusing on the common good, the role of nutrition in well-being, economics of happiness, well-being in policy, the neurobiology of happiness and well-being, education focused on happiness, well-being in relation to our environment, right? But sadly, all this research on well-being has not yet led to much real-world practice focused on the science of well-being. So I want to just take a minute and really break down what we, the authors, Rachel Dodge and myself, Dr. Emily Wassell, focused on as what is the definition of well-being? How do we even determine what well-being is in order to start to improve it? So this paper that we wrote is really focused on what is well-being and also how do we measure it. So the definition that we decided to use is focused on this idea of balance, right? We talked about how well-being is this balance point between our support, resources, and autonomy with our challenges, demand, and intensity. Right? So if we think of this scale, if we think of this balance, right, the more support and resources we have, the more demand, challenges, and intensity we can take on, right? So starting with young children all the way as we age, as we have those support and resources, we're able to increase our demand, right? As we have increased autonomy, so then can we also have increased intensity. And our well-being is out of whack when that balance is not balanced, right? So you can imagine a situation where you have high demand, high challenge, high intensity, and not enough support, resources, and autonomy. That's going to negatively impact your well-being. On the other hand, if we have too much support, resources, and autonomy with no demand, challenges, or intensity, there's also a lack of well-being, right? So well-being is really that balance point when we feel that we have what we need in both categories. So to talk a little bit more about this, a lot of this echoes some of the research that's been done on flow, right? Flow is that state where you don't notice time going by, you get completely absorbed in the task at hand and really allow your brain to fully take on the task. This is different for all of us when we experience flow, but that state of well-being is similar to flow, that we can find ourselves in that state and able to do things so much better and enjoy our life more. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. If you're interested in the science of well-being and all the realms of well-being, like, subscribe, and follow. I'll have more videos coming out soon about each of the areas of well-being and how you can integrate them into your life to make radical changes for the better.